Did you know that in Australia, not only did we get the R31 Skyline as just a regular sedan car, it was also produced in Australia with the RB30. This was a regular car to the point where they just sell. They are beaters. Here's one for $1,000. It's the station wagon version. I very much considered buying one of these back in the day when I was young. They would go for a couple $100s as a paddy basher. Now, however, with the coronavirus and everything, the prices are going up just a little bit. It was so synonymous in Australia that even Holden's jumped on the bandwagon and took the 3-litre, the RB30 from that engine. Yes, there was an RB30 turbo-powered Holden Commodore, and we will cover that one day. For now, however, I want to go back to a bit of an Australian icon, a car that you see quite commonly just around the place. So this is the body we're going to choose. Now, unfortunately here in Australia, many of them were used as drift missiles in the mid-2000s, so a lot of them really don't exist anymore. Now, what sort of chassis do we have here? I can't seem to find any information. That looks ever so slightly like a monocoque. So yeah, we're going to go with a monocoque here. So monocoque, steel, front longitudinal, probably double wishbone on the front. Oh, maybe. Might have a McPherson strut on the front. And then I believe it was a solid axle coil on the rear. A new project. This is going to be the RB30 DET. You know what? I never knew this, but the RB30 DET was an Australian exclusive. So it uses the RB30 bottom end mated to the smaller top ends that were... So Australia, once again, has gone, you know what? Your thing is not powerful enough. So we're going to take the big block and stick on the more powerful top end from the smaller... And like, oh my god. Australia is just crazy. I did not know this. This is so much fun. This is like... Oh my god. Australia is crazy. Oh, that's so cool seeing like the Commodore right next to the Skyline. It's like, hey, where'd you get your RB30 Nissan engine from? Oh, got it from a commie? It's just hilarious. Now, I should just mention that we did get a whole bunch of like earlier versions of the car as well, but they were under the Datsun brand and they're a little bit rarer and a little less existent considering how much rust they have. So we're just going to ignore those. We also got the R30, which was a lot less common, especially like they say we got this hatchback, but I have never seen a hatchback version of this. So I'm going to go with the one that I saw a lot of, especially in my drifting days, which I do plan to go back to. Dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, probably an aluminium head. We're not going front wheel drive, thank you very much. Cast for now. No variable valve timing, I believe, for this day and age. Yes, there was a turbos, probably a journal bearing. And we're just gonna tap performance for that one. Injection, multi-point, configuration for single, and then performance. They did specifically mention that it went for a more performance-orientated one, so it wouldn't be a standard intake. It'd go for something like that. RPM up just a little bit. You know what, I realized I didn't set the bore and stroke. Whoops. Here we go, 86 and 85. That is a very square engine. Oh my god, this is an incredibly square... That's a new level of square for me. Jesus. And I'm assuming that it probably also ran on some sort of higher octane... We're just gonna stick to that for the time being. Then short cast, probably getting some sort of like big muffled exhaust on there. Seems that we might be knocking a little bit. 8.2 to 1 compression ratio. Our knocking's almost completely gone. Now I know that yes, it does say here that we never got the turbo version in 31 Skyline, but we're gonna do it anyway because that was a common swap in like the 90s to the early 2000s when drifting was starting to catch on. So we're gonna aim for about 150 kilowatts, which should be quite easy at 5,600 RPM. Wow. We're almost right there immediately. We are, however, creating a little bit more torque. Here it says we're creating 355 Newton meters, where here it says that they only want 296. Okay, I suppose this will be fine? I don't know. Let's go ahead and give this muffled engine a bit of a listen. Well, I mean, what do you expect? It was basically a family car. And we are going to choose the 4-door version because that's what we got a lot of. So let's make that a very straight up and down rear window. How straight up and down was that? Okay, maybe it wasn't that straight up and down, but I remember it looking really straight up and down back in the day. Well, I think this is a good area, though. This is only a 2.4 meter. I get the feeling it was a lot longer than this. Fortunately, there's no bodies that kind of the same, so we're just gonna have to suffer with it, I suppose. So, rear-wheel drive, because they didn't have all-wheel drive at the moment. It came with a manual 5-speed, which is pretty epic. So it says that the engine clearance at the front of the engine is getting narrow, even though we've lengthened it out a buttload. Come on! What is the point of body morphing if we can't get rid of this warning? See, that's getting kinda narrow. But what about that? Come on! We're just gonna leave that hood exposed for now because I'm also going to assume that this street version came with an open differential. They could have had cross splies at the time, but we're gonna say radials, and they are going to be a sports compound. Because we are going for a sports version. We have no information by what I could see on what sort of wheels it has, so we're gonna go with, I don't know, they look like maybe 15s. I can't tell. Ugh. I can't see it. I still can't see it. Oh, I still can't see it. Come on. We could do some Googling, but that's missing a wheel. Not just a wheel nut, but a lug. Oh my goodness. Well, let's just move on. We're going to go with alloys, and we're going to call them maybe a 15-inch, since that is a very common size for back in the day. We might go with some like 195s on the rear. Hopefully that'll be enough. Let's splay this out just a little bit. Then I know that they had solid discs as an option, as a thing, I believe. So we're just gonna stick some solids on there. Even though Volvos of the era did have vented. No under tray because that's still not a common thing. A little bit of brake airflow, but you know what? Probably no brake airflow. Seats will be just a standard seat because this was still a standard car. Even the sports version didn't have that fancier seats. I call your attention to said car. Is that a... Yeah, no, that's just a sideways on. This car is partially dismantled and probably will remain that way for a very long time. So it's not a particularly sporty seat. And they didn't really come with many sporty seats at all. They did come with an AM/FM radio as standard. So I'm gonna say it came with a standard cassette because that was a little bit higher tech than normal. Hydraulic power steering, probably no ABS, standard springs, gas monotube, and then we're just gonna select sport on this one. Nothing too sporty. That front tire is very wide. Let's bring that down just a smidge because it doesn't quite, there you go. Now it matches the rear tire. And what does oversteer say? It says that we have a lot of understeer. Bugger. Well, let's put that back up then. But only a little bit, and then we'll narrow the rear tires down. We do have a lot of wheel spin, so maybe we'll go like a wider tire. 195 on the rear and a 180 on the front. So we're back to what we were exactly a second ago. Guys, severe issues with wheel spin. Well, that you're gonna have to suffer with. We didn't have all drive as an option yet. We can, however, increase our top speed by quite a lot. Oh my god. 251 kilometers an hour, which is 155 miles an hour, which for the 1980s, a straight six Japanese car, pretty darn good. So how's the rest of the car? Brakes are overpowered. Okay, we did a little bit of finagling. We went down to a 1 piston, then we changed the bias all the way to the front and downsized the rears so then they kind of stay a little bit even on their braking force, and I think we're happy to go with this. Was there a winged version? Oh, there was a winged version, so maybe we'll put a wing on. There we go, I like that wing. There. It looks close enough. It had a rear windshield wiper, and it comes through the window itself? What a weird window. There we go. I'm sure. Now, even though the red ones do look cooler, we are going to go with the color scheme that I know most well and the one that came out on most cars. This kind of color. And even though this is the Japanese rear taillights, we are going to be replicating them because a lot of people imported them to put on our Australian Nissan Skylines. Our top speed has gone down just a smidge, but not by much. I think now we're going to do that paint scheme I was talking about. Wow, they've really changed this up. Now they just don't give you the option. Do we keep the black bumper or do we change it manually? I think we're going to keep the black bumper. But the black bumper is only really on the station wagon. I am torn, but I think we are going to keep it. Right? Time to make it look pretty. Well, here's our R31 Skyline. It looks nothing like... I think it's because the body is way too small. The real car itself was actually quite large, so it doesn't quite translate perfectly into this game. But I am actually really happy with how this has turned out. Yeah, I'm gonna take this one right to the bank, brah. I might clean up this a little bit, but let's head over... Oh, wait, I also gotta change the wheels. Then we'll head over to BeamNG. Ah, look, the other Nissans that I made. Well, here we go. Let's try out our Nissan. Whoa, boy, that is a fair wad. Not just a small amount, but a fairly large wad of oversteer there when you're trying to just accelerate away from the line. Though it would be a little bit easier since it doesn't have a proper differential. This being an open diff, it would split quite easily. Oh, a little bit of lockup. We're still doing okay. Those graphs lied to me. It said that I'd only really get lockup at the very peak of 200 kilometers an hour. But so far, you know what? Handling very cleanly. So yes, we brought this out here to an old version of... It's Monza, right? Yes, Monza from 1988. So this is an old version, not a version that most of you'll recognize. Most of you'll know the driving games use the most recent version. But it is a map that I like, and I wanted to just kind of bring it out here, give it a bit of a try on the sort of racetrack it would have faced back in the day. Oh boy, that is quite a bit of understeer there. I don't know how much this car went into racing. I know the previous versions did quite well. But then, after then, with the R32 and the R33 and the R34 and the R35, they all did really well. Like, they dominated. And just a bit of a hit. I love how the grass here is basically bitumen. Sugoi desu yo ne. The R32, a bit of a heads up here, will actually be in a future video. It will be one that I do. Hold on, I saw something. Put the power down! There we go. Oh, no. Put the power down. There we go. All right, how realistic is this game? Oh, well, that didn't work out quite as planned. Who's this guy? He's just like some kind of Steve. Just, okay. That guy, I mean, he looks like an official. He looks like a marshal. This guy just looks like a Steve. And what is this vehicle? What the heck? Oh, that's so... Okay, well, I suppose driving past really fast, you wouldn't actually see that. Well, let's turn around and go back and see what sort of speeds this car can do. Don't want to... I'm trying to feather the throttle so we don't get that nasty, nasty wheel spin. You know, it's doing all right now. I do know that this engine has more torque than what it's meant to, so that will cause it, yes, to spin up the wheels a whole lot more, which is... yeah, when you're dealing with a car that's not really like a race car, quite problematic. You want to really... Oh no, I've overshot it. Oh, well, yeah, this is all bitumen anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter. So yeah, we could just drive around, that's no issue. Well, here's the back straight. What sort of speeds do we reach down here? We are going to take this around... I think this would be like just the kind of era in which they replaced the old automation test track. We might chuck it around there once, but really this one should go around the full automation racetrack. All right, we've gone at about 210. Seems to be really slowing down. We do have another gear though, and yeah, we're not... Oh, that is flattened. Oh my goodness. What about these ones? I missed. What about these ones? I missed. All right, this time, please. Third time's a charm. Oh, well, there we go. Just gave it away. Apparently, you just pass right through them. Now, because I don't know the lore of the game, I don't know when the old racetrack was really discontinued as the main racetrack, I'm going to say that it was probably around this sort of era, and this would probably be the last generation of cars to probably ever try this racetrack. And we're gonna see what we can do around it. Oh, that's a lot of wheels. Okay, good. Got it under control. This car should handle a lot better than the other cars that I've taken around here sometimes. Though, I don't know, this does seem to handle better than the 1970s Ford Falcon that I brought around just yesterday. The 1977, I believe it was. Yeah, that car was pretty darn good. I think this one handles a little bit better. It's not a race car, but it is at least probably 4 years newer. So you're dealing with a whole lot of new technology. This also has a monocoque compared to that thing, which was using a ladder chassis from, get this, the 1940s. Yeah, they got well proper usage out of that same exact ladder chassis. That thing was so old, but yeah, so we're dealing with a lot newer technology. This thing is handling a whole lot better. It is considerably slower because this one doesn't have, what, 500 kilowatts, whereas that one had more. This also has discs on the rear, which will make it handle a little bit better as well. But what are we going to see as it comes down here with its lightweight turbo 6-cylinder engine to the finish line? I don't know. Is a straight line 6-cylinder lighter than a cast iron engine V8? Who knows? But we did a 116. It is faster. Holy cow! It is so much so much less power, but somehow it's still going as fast. It went as fast on my first attempt. Oh my goodness. Well, this one is definitely going up on the server for you guys to enjoy, but not before we take it around the automation full racetrack. I am expecting decent things from this. I'm gonna say this might do, what do you guys reckon? I'm gonna put my money on about 2 minutes 20. I doubt that it'll do horrible. We will, I suppose, just have to wait and see. Also, all the interior has come out white, even though I did put color on it. What the heck happened? Oh dear. Oh no. Well, we got distracted, and yeah, this is a bung up time. This one's no good. All right, does this thing do donuts? Not really. It's just doing the one wheel peel, baby. Well, I suppose what do you expect from an open differential? This thing handles so nicely. It is one of my more favorite old cars that I've made that are like following the rules of how a car should be designed. This is almost making me want to go buy that $1,000 station wagon. Though I don't want a station wagon. I know that in America or North America, station wagons are, for some reason, very popular. Now, what sort of speed do we get around here? Does it stay very stable? Wow. Okay, well, I stuffed up the corner, but it was doing pretty well. Wow. Okay, so I went through there at, like, top full accelerator at about 210 or something. That is incredibly stable. This is a car you really kind of gotta try to get a feel for how good it was, except for the fact that I really bunged up the Bavarian corner there. Oh, come on. Just put the power down, please. There you go. Good car. It's a good car. That's right. You're a good car. And now what are we going to do coming up here to the Kilrob chicane? Oh, okay, well, apparently this thing brakes so amazingly that I didn't really need to brake much at all for it. Did really nicely through there. I mean, I kind of have to turn up my headset just so I'll be able to hear this engine, which is kind of tripping me out. I don't notice when it bounces off the rev limiter. So Adam's Apex. How are we going to deal here? Is it going to unsettle the car? You know what? No. We've dealt with Adam really nicely here. We were able to brake after exiting the previous corner and all straight and everything. And so Cossacks. What is Cossacks going to do to us? Oh, okay. We've braked a little late. But we've got good, there you go. Nice out there. Really done quite professionally. Now, Lambs is the last corner. Come through. And come on. Oh, our time is terrible. It's much worse than what I thought. Oh, bugger. I might have to go sweaty full tryhard and see how well we can do. Well, it seems that that's about as good as we can do. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Keep an eye out for this car to be on my Where's the Jump Button official server on BeamNG, and I'll catch you guys next time. Goodbye!